This is Mindset for Success with your host, Dr. Leslie Knudsen. Each week, she will interview women entrepreneurs to explore the unconscious psychological struggles they faced as they build their businesses and how they overcame them. Here's your host, Leslie Knudsen.
Kristen, hello and welcome. I'm so excited to have you on my podcast today, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say and to share it with our listeners. I'm going to talk first about your background, which is super interesting, and I'm looking forward to hear a lot about what you're doing. After earning an honors degree in astrophysics, KRISTIN consulted for a Fortune 50 company for 12 years. And during that time, she side hustled launching diet apps and websites to promote her products. She learned how to craft marketing videos from home. After mastering production techniques, demand for videos and video expertise skyrocketed, which led her to launch Value Video Marketing. Welcome, KRISTIN.
Thank you so much, Leslie. It's always interesting and kind of fun to hear my bio spoken through someone else's voice. So thank you for that kind intro.
You're welcome. KRISTIN, as you know, it takes a lot to be a successful female entrepreneur. And business acumen is key, but we rarely talk about the psychological issues that women often face to achieve that success. I refer to those as the negative and sometimes persistent thoughts that can create doubt, undermine success, destroy self-confidence and decision-making, as well as overall just sort of reducing one's overall happiness and satisfaction. So today I'd like to hear a little bit about your background and what was some of your journey to become an entrepreneur.
So everything you mentioned, I have personally gone through over the years. So my entrepreneurial journey started over a decade ago when I was just 25. I had read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week and was inspired to launch my own software company. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have a similar story.
Because 4 hours is great. That's all the work you have to have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an overachiever here. I work way more than 4 hours a week.
I'm sure.
So at that time in my life, I was new to entrepreneurship because I had this belief that, quote unquote, people like me couldn't be entrepreneurs. And it was a combination of reading the 4-Hour Work Week, but also being exposed to entrepreneurial people who also had day jobs, that I realized that it's really something anyone with a drive and a motivation and an ambition can do, is become an entrepreneur. So I got really excited when I realized that and began pursuing my journey. However, I tell you what, I've had setbacks due to imposter syndrome, due to fear of failure, due to thinking that, even someone like me couldn't go after venture funding, which wasn't true, but actually hindered my entrepreneurial journey at some points. So, there's a lot of different emotional and mental hurdles that I had to overcome in order to continue driving forward on my journey. Now, the emotional breakthroughs didn't always automatically mean success was right around the corner. It just meant that I got to continue on the hard journey.
Tell me a little bit about how you were able to recognize or how difficult it was for you to see yourself being able to be successful, and how you were able to overcome that and work through that.
So it was hard to envision myself as having true success because I still had a very limited scope of what I thought was possible for me. I still, at that time in my life, I still very much had a good student view of the world, where if I worked hard, other people would tell me what that's worth, in terms of like the job salary mentality. And it took me a long time to realize that as an entrepreneur, you actually have to define the value of what you do and what you've created into the world, and then go
Mhm.
about learning how to extract that value by providing enough for other people that they're not just willing to, but happy to give you money in exchange for what you're offering. And that really the sky is the limit. You're not going to get there overnight, but your ambitions should be as big as they can possibly go, because there's no real limitation to how big you can go in your entrepreneurial journey.
But of course, it's helpful to have self-confidence underneath that ambition, right?
You
Without
have to.
self-confidence,
Yes.
then it's harder to push forward.
It's a lot harder to push forward, and it's almost impossible to ask for your worth if you don't have confidence in yourself, because even if you can believe that you're worth that much, having that conversation one-on-one with somebody is a totally different scenario, and being able to confidently put a number out there and make commitments to the value that you're going to provide
Mhm,
requires a
mhm.
lot of confidence.
For sure, for sure. Have you ever suffered from not having confidence?
Absolutely.
Tell me, tell me a little bit about that.
Oh gosh, where does that start? That goes back to, all the way back to like the beginning of being a teenager and stuff. I absolutely struggled with having very little confidence as well as very little self-worth. The two were
Mhm,
very tied up for me. And,
mhm,
looking back on it, I think I used to focus a lot on self-confidence. And I don't think that went very far until I really started working on my self-worth, and the
mhm,
confidence came out of realizing and connecting to my own inherent worth out of
mhm.
anything outside of anything that I do.
Mhm. And how were you able to get there to find your self-worth and have that kind of come out and drive your ambition and drive all of what you've done?
It's been a lot of work, first and foremost, and I think the thing that has helped me most on that journey is a deep dedication to knowing what I want out of
Mhm,
life,
mhm,
understanding who I need to be to get those things, and being unwavering in my decision to become that person, no matter how long it takes me or how hard it is. Because here I am,
mhm,
I'm, well over 10 years on my personal growth journey. And of course, I still have a ways to go, but I have accomplished a lot of the things I needed to do and become. So, that dedication first and foremost helped me. But I also want to say that my self-worth journey was still a very slow, long slog to get
mhm,
to,
mhm, mhm,
until let me say that, since I was 14, starting at the age of 14, I had an eating disorder
mhm,
that was severe and long lasting and impacted me every single day of my life
mhm, mhm,
for almost a couple decades.
mhm,
And it wasn't until I learned how to overcome that eating disorder that my self-worth really skyrocketed.
mhm. I can
Because
imagine.
yeah, I had to, with that eating disorder, I was harming myself every single day of my life and still not fully understanding why or how to stop it. And trust me, I'd done a lot of work and been to see a lot of specialists and done
Sure.
a lot to try to overcome that. But it took me a very specific way of overcoming it that now I can, I can work on not developing myself, but I can work on healing myself and feeling good every day
Mhm,
instead of
mhm,
fighting this way I was hurting myself every day. So that
mhm.
was a huge part of my journey in self-worth and self-confidence.
And I guess that has something to do with your first startup, which was a diet app.
Hmm.
And
There.
how did that go for you?
So because of the eating disorder, I had developed an extreme preoccupation with what I was eating. And this, I was totally won over by this idea of, well, if you just put healthy things in, you'll get healthy things out of your body. And
Mhm,
if you just
mhm,
treat it right, then if you just eat this way, then your cravings will all disappear and
Mhm.
you'll just be like happy and healthy. And like there was this idea that like diet will solve all of our problems in life.
Mhm.
We'll
Mhm.
lose all the weight, we'll get the love of our life, everything, we'll make more money, like everything will just be better,
Exactly.
right?
All in 4
And
hours a
I,
week.
yes. And and I believed that for way, way, way too long. So I had been eating this diet, and even though I still had an eating disorder, I was like sold on the idea of this diet and promoting it and helping other people eat this way, secretly hiding the fact that I had an
Mhm.
eating disorder while I was on this.
Mhm. 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 And what made you finally decide to leave corporate and open your own business? I mean, I know you started the diet app because there must have been some risk um, attached to that.
Yeah, so for me, that decision isn't as clear cut as it may be for other people. I had also experienced really severe health issues when I was around that age, a little older than that. And those health issues forced me to leave corporate. I was too ill to hold a job, and we had tried
Mhm.
everything, working part-time from home, and like I just my ability to work was too sporadic and just
Mhm.
not enough. I mean, like maybe an hour a day I could be like lucid and focused. So
Mhm.
I had already launched my first business and was selling it at that time. So like I can't say enough how grateful I am that I'd gotten that first business launch because it was bringing in money every month that I could live off of. It wasn't
Mhm.
comfortable. It wasn't a replacement to my salary or anything, but it was a huge blessing to have some of my own money coming in
Mhm.
every month at that point. So it was something that was forced on me leaving. And I had gone back to corporate after that. There's a whole story that we probably won't get to here, but that was my first push into full entrepreneurship.
Mhm. Mhm. And was it did when you finally decided to go out on your own, did it feel like you were ready to do that?
No, absolutely not. It was terrifying, but it was, for me, it was the only choice I had forward. So it was full commitment to that. And it was very hard and very slow, but I'd also made the decision to expand my product line and invest in developing and launching another digital website. Um, and because that was my only path forward, and I worked on that business when I could, which was maybe 1 hour a day, and there were absolutely days where I couldn't work on my business at all
Mhm.
just due to the health issues that I was experiencing. So does it take longer to do it that way? Absolutely, but it
Right.
can be done. I had a product launched, and I had marketed it in advance, and I had 2,000 users who signed up, I think, within the first month or two.
Wow. And it also sounds like, in spite of such difficult circumstances, being ill and trying to start your own business, you also had, can I say, the courage and the foresight to use that 1 hour a day to go and do your best to move forward.
Yeah, I guess you could call it courage. At the time, it simply felt like my only option, and it never felt like enough. But I had learned during that time that beating myself up and feeling bad about, quote, not working enough was only hindering my healing journey, and that I
Mhm.
just needed to
Mhm.
go with that flow. And like whenever that time came where I felt lucid enough to go up into the office and sit there and work until I couldn't anymore.
And giving up and, I don't know, doing something else never was an option.
Giving up was never an option. It always felt like a sane thing to do, but it was never an option for me. I have never
Because
given up. Sorry, say that again.
because why wasn't it an option to give up?
It wasn't an option to give up because entrepreneurship and working for myself is the only thing that makes sense for me personally. It's the only thing that has the possibility to give me the life that I want. It's the only thing that puts me in the driver's seat and has me calling the shots and has me